Marcus had one to get. Where do we, where's the entrance?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's here. For Deer Run.
So you go up.
No, this is the Deer Run entrance, this is our ford. So you go up here, there's a Green Mountain power line, and then you go around and about and up to the top.
So have you been over to here? I have not. I've not been over to
It's a challenge, it's ours.
Plus there's the nice trail that goes from something down here.
Yeah, there's another one that's a shorter one that comes out off of the main trail here and then cuts down into the Shadwell Creek. Okay. Yeah, that's that top of that whole ridge line is so beautiful. Good, how are you?
Ask us more questions if you have. For you. get started, could everybody move up? That would be great, if you could, do you mind?
They're pretty tight already.
Yeah, you're pretty tight already. Just, would it be, anyways, it doesn't seem like any, I think everybody's just had dinner and they don't want to move. I'm Mary Ellen Copeland, and I'm the president of the Green Mountain Conservancy, and I'm really glad that you're all here to learn about this really exciting project that we've got going, the Newfane Village Nature Preserve, if that's what you all decide you want to call it. I want to introduce you to some key people. Leah Allen is our new executive director. She's amazing, and we're thrilled to have her. So, Leah, and we have some board members here.
It is.
Is it on?
Can speak more directly, please.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll do my best. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay. So Ed Anthes is treasurer. Roger Haydock is our trail builder and steward. Jenny Ramstetter, Jenny's over here, and she has worked a lot on a project that we've had in Marlboro called the Old Headwaters Preserve. Wonderful place to walk and be. It's between Marlboro College and Marlboro Town. And Jennifer Ambler, she's been on our board since the very beginning, and she keeps us going technologically. And I want to introduce you to Joan Weir. Joan, could you stand up? And I don't think we would be here tonight, and I don't think we would have all of Deer Run preserved and all of the Green Mountain Conservancy doing the work that it has done without Joan, who was there at the very beginning, and we called her up and we told her about this piece of land that they said either you have to buy it or we're going to log it. And she came and she walked us painstakingly through, step by step, with a bunch of people who didn't really know at all what they were doing. So we are ever grateful. And Henriette, do you want to stand up? Henriette is also very important. Henriette Mantel, very important to making this project happening, for people to be willing to, rather than sell their property and have it turned into a development and condominiums and all of that, to have the land conserved. And that's a gift that people can give to the community, to have a preserve like this instead of a bunch of condos up on a hill. We have lots of other places in Newfane, I think, that are great for building housing. But this is a very special place, and I'll show you a lot more about it. So, and I want to tell you, I'll show you. So, Ed, as we go along, if you have questions, would you just raise your hand and ask them? If they take an in-depth answer, we'll wait till later. So, the project of the Green Mountain Conservancy. The Green Mountain Conservancy started in 2008, and then it went defunct for quite a while, and then we reactivated it to do the intensive work that we're doing now, and we have projects in various towns, and it's become very active as we've seen the need. We conserved the first piece, and then people kept coming to us and said, "You help us with this, help us with this." Jenny Ramstetter being on the phone and saying, "Please, we have to save this piece. We have to save more of the lands that are around Deer Run." So we've been working. So, okay. So our mission is to acquire. I do my best. I don't do very well standing still. So our mission is to acquire, conserve, and advocate for the protection of forest lands in southern Vermont. Sure. Perfect. Yeah. to ensure their natural character and their aesthetic and inspirational value, to protect wildlife corridors and watersheds, to promote carbon sequestration and biodiversity, to undertake related initiatives that educate people in the understanding, appreciation, and stewardship of these lands, and to improve the quality of life in southern Vermont by providing appropriate access to these lands. Any questions or comments about those? Okay. So, where we are.
Over here.
Pardon?
I know some of your walking trails are dog accessible and some are not. I'm just curious how that comes to be and how do you come to that?
What trails are dog accessible?
What trails are dog accessible? All of our trails are dog accessible as long as people keep them on a leash. We've had some problems because we have hiking. We've had problems with dogs and hikers. And so we ask people to keep their dog on a leash. And the other issue around dogs is porcupines. We have a lot of porcupines. And dogs and porcupines are not a good mix. So that's...
Is the Black Mountain Trail that's accessible from, I guess it's Black Mountain Road? I could have sworn that has a sign, no dogs allowed. Is that
Yeah.
part of your group or not?
That's not part of our group.
Oh, okay.
That's the Nature Conservancy, and the Nature Conservancy does have a rule on their properties that they don't allow dogs at all. So, but ours is that with leash. So, you can come and take a look at this map. But the piece of property that we're talking about is right here. So that's, and let me just, we have a couple of other pieces of property that, there's a piece of property down here that's 100 acres, and that was donated to the Conservancy by Bert Picard. We don't have any trails up to that yet. It's a beautiful piece, but it's a very, very steep access. There's bear nests in the beech trees that are really profound. There's a beaver wetland up there. We have another piece of property. It's a funny little piece that I wanted to tell you about. That a woman called us and she said, I have a piece of property and it's only 3/4 of an acre, maybe a little bit more. It's right on the riverbank. It's right across from Deer Run. And wouldn't you like this piece? We'd like to give it to you. We thought, is that anything? So we called the state, and the state said, absolutely take that piece because it's got 2 endangered species in the river between that property and Deer Run. So they wanted us to do that. So we have that piece, and we also have a lot of land. I'll show you on another map. Pardon? There we go. This is the Deer Run Nature Preserve, and Ed, you can do a better job of pointing out where the land boundaries are, but many, many acres of the Deer Run Nature Preserve are in Newfane, about up to there, down here. And then there's a little access. Here's the river, and there's a little access, and that's also came as part of buying all of this parcel that was part of the Mercedes property. And then the Mercedes heirs were trying to dispose of all the property that Nick Mercedes had purchased, and they got tired of it. And they said, we have these 10 acres, wouldn't you just like them? So we said, okay, not really knowing that it would have any meaning to us at all, but this little 10-acre piece is connected now so that the Deer Run Nature Preserve, this is the Mantell property, and we're all connected. So you can call it the Deer Run Nature Preserve Phase 4 or the Newfane Village Nature Preserve. Any questions about all of that?
That's amazing, a comment, that's amazing.
It is, is it? It's neat, there's a, well, you know what I was thinking? This is a little absurd, but they've got those two bridges down in Brattleboro that they're trying to figure out what to do with. What do they do? Bring one of those right up here, put it right across there. So, that would be really, okay. Ed. And I wanted to share this with you. This is from there was a book of maps of Newfane that was developed in 1859. And a friend gave me that. And I thought that was pretty precious. And if you want to come up and take a look, this is really the town back in 1859 and before. And we're talking about the property up here. And you can get a sense of what it might have been like here in those times. So just think it's a good thing to keep us on track of where we are. Okay. So the Green Mountain Conservancy is working on this project with the Vermont Land Trust. When Joan started working with us, she was with the Vermont Land Trust. We're working with the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board and the Vermont Nature Conservancy to conserve this 250-acre parcel. It's open fields and woodlands. As you know, it's adjacent to the Newfane Village, and it's currently owned by the Mantell family. So, once we have purchased this property, the Green Mountain Conservancy will own the land in perpetuity. And we're actually working with the National Land Trust Alliance to ensure that so that it will be conserved in perpetuity, that nothing can interfere with that. They have a lot of experience and are working with us step by step on a special project to ensure that in perpetuity actually means in perpetuity, and that we know what happens to the land if anything happens to the Conservancy. The Vermont Land Trust and the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board will hold easements on the property to ensure that it's protected in perpetuity. And easements are legal agreements that protect the property over time. Do you all know what easements are and understand about that? Any questions about that? Okay. Okay. Why do we want to preserve this property? We want to prevent development and the need for increased public services. To us, it's not, for all of the reasons that we'll talk about, it's not a good place for development. To safeguard an identified wildlife corridor, to protect the current hydrology, the water of the property, to support the ability of the land to sequester, we got a missing word here, support the ability of the land to sequester carbon, to limit the effects of climate change, and to allow ongoing public use of the land for hiking and hunting. Any comments, questions?
It's currently not being used for hunting. Is that something that you will bring in?
Pardon?
I don't believe hunting is allowed on that property now. Is that something you would want to bring in?
It will be limited. In order for us to get funds from the state and to work with the Vermont Land Trust, you have to allow particular hunting, but it won't be, how would you say it? People will, it will be under very specific circumstances. So there won't be crowds of hunters up there. They have to sign up, they have to get permission and those kinds of things.
And who would be monitoring that? Just curious.
The Conservancy.
You're going to have a chat up there? Or?
Pardon? No, people contact, there'll be signs, and the signs say, if you, no hunting without written permission, so that they write to us, and then we check there, make sure that they have all the proper qualifications to be good hunters, that they don't have anything on their record that might make us not want to give them permission. And then we would give them permission. Whoops. one of the, I just want to take you back a little bit, and that the temperate forest that we have here is a great gift and really important. And we've been working a lot with the Nature Conservancy on this issue because there was a time when the temperate forest covered much of the globe. And because of human intervention, it's become more and more limited. And so it's moved back. At the time of the glaciers, as the glaciers moved back, there were temperate forests moved in and grasslands, and now we've used all that land. So go to the next one. So the Nature Conservancy has identified this corridor, which we are here, as a major interest and concern, and a place that they want to make sure that we don't overdo development in this area and that we protect the temperate forest. Any questions about that? They've identified 7 places like this around the world that they are focusing on, and this is the key one. So here we are, we're in a key area that the Nature Conservancy has determined is very important to have lands of the type that we're working to conserve. Millions of years ago, it looked like this. Around here, there were mountains that were as tall as the Himalayas. This is a long time ago, but I think it's fun to think about. So, okay, 12,000 years ago, where we're sitting, there was a mile-high glacier over us. So, and now the landscape is like this with rolling hills and distant ridges, the leftovers. There's many features on the land that are a result of that, particularly of the glaciers and how they moved across the landscape. So any questions about that before we go on? Okay. So there's a lot of indicators up on the property of farming in the past. There's stone walls, and what I learned from Tom Wessels is that if the stone walls have a lot of small stones, that means that somebody planted that at some time. They grew crops there. If there's big stones, they were just gathered to keep animals out, just piling stone to keep animals in and out. But there's fields are an indicator. If you look and walk there, you can see apple trees. So we know, you can look at that old map, and you can see who are the farmers that might have been farming up there at that time. Okay. So in 1938, there was a massive hurricane that hit the region, and it took down many of the white pines, and so farmers planted red pines, and you can, if you can notice that this tree has kind of a pink tinge. As you go up the hill, parking by the cemetery, you go up a little further, and there's a path that goes off to the right. You'll see a grove of trees, and they look like they're kind of in line, in rows. Likely those were planted by farmers, but I also heard, I don't know if it was Henriette, you told me, or somebody, that the Boy Scouts planted those back in 1938.
I think they planted them all like in 1960.
Oh, they did?
The big lot, yeah, that was a state program to plant pine trees, and the Boy Scouts and our family planted them.
Because the ones in the other part of Deer Run were planted in 38. So we'll have to compare the size, but that's something to look for. So look for the red pine plantation, okay? This is old forest. There's a lot of old forest up there. As you walk around, you'll see the old forest that's been there for quite some time. And if you look at this picture over here, you'll see that there's a lot of young trees on this side, that land was logged about 30 years ago. And with conservation, in about another 30 years, we're hoping it looks like this, that it will, that the need for old forest to sequester carbon has been determined, and so we'll let that will just be let grow. So the land includes water resources that will protect the Newfane Village into the future. There's ponds, there's streams, there's vernal pools, and as you walk out there and look around, you'll see that there's places where the water just comes up out of the ground, those seeps, and those are really important part of the water systems for the village. So here's some of the current photos of things that you'll see up on the property now. It's an identified wildlife corridor. You have moose, deer, bobcat, bear, small mammals, lots of things passing through on their way to the Connecticut River or to stay and raise their young. It's pretty amazing the amount that comes through there. Okay. So, our friend the porcupine, there's the ambi and the bears and the squirrels, there's just everything up there. Okay? And all kinds of birds. It's a great place for birding, great place to look for birds. And these are the bobolinks. And in the summer, the bobolinks are quite endangered because there's people mow fields. And we're committed to leaving the fields unmowed long enough so that the bobolinks will have time to nest. So we'll be just, the part of the property that will be GMC land will be let grow through the summer and just mowed in the fall so that these guys have a place to nest and to raise their young. The land will be left as it is, except in cases of issues like if the state said you have to remove all of a certain species because something was going on that needed to be addressed, then we would follow those specifications, but otherwise the land's going to be left alone, except we will be mowing the fields once a year. And the only motorized vehicle access will be for maintenance and emergencies. And people have been walking up there for a long time, probably some of you have walked up there. There will be continued access for walking and hiking. We're getting close to our goal. We've already raised $592,000 for this project. And so we have just 21% more to go. So it's back one. Okay. So, what questions do you have? What would you like to know?
Can you go back to the numbers slide?
Then, oh,
There we are, okay, 749.
other questions? Concerns? Yes.
Do you currently have contiguous land to the Mantell parcel?
Can you say that again,
Do
please?
you currently have contiguous land to the Mantell
Yes,
parcel?
yes, we
Where
do.
is that?
That's that 10-acre piece that was part of the Nick Mercedes land. You come across the river, and then we've got the 10 acres, and it's contiguous right there.
You also have the land on the other side of the river?
We have the Newfane Nature Preserve on the other side of the river, which is about how many acres?
954 acres.
Yeah.
Do you envision only taking ownership of land for the project, or do you envision also taking easements, conservation easements, such as the Land Trust or the Nature Conservancy use?
I'm not sure exactly what you mean.
Well, both of those entities accept permanent easements, conservation easements,
Yes.
that subject the land to the same conditions
Yes.
as ownership would give, but they don't entail ownership of the land. So if the land is transferred to a subsequent owner, the easement follows it. It's a perpetual easement.
Absolutely, yes, yes.
You envision that?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely, yes. And that's why we're working with the National Land Trust Alliance to assure that beyond us, that those kinds of standards are upheld.
Why, one final question, you know, your mission, as you describe it, is very, very similar to all or part of what the Land Trust and the Nature Conservancy do. The Nature Conservancy has a slightly different overarching mission, but basically serves the same purpose. What is the reason for having a separate trust?
Right now, it's a matter of enough people to do all the work. One of the things that's in process that I should talk with you about is that there are 4 land trusts like us. There's the Green Mountain Conservancy, there's Putney Mountain Association, there's Windmill Hill Pinnacle Association, and Bull Creek Common Lands. And we're actually working together closely and with the Nature Conservancy and with the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board to determine how best to work together to conserve as much land as we possibly can and to keep it safe in perpetuity, to do the best we possibly can with the land. And that's an ongoing huge project that you'll be hearing more about over time.
Now, fortunately in Vermont, there's a long tradition of the various organizations working together and
Yes,
collaborating and reinforcing each other.
we absolutely work collaboratively. We do not work competitively. We work together and to do that work, to do this work. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Will there be a trail system such as like there is on Deer Run?
There's already trails, and we will maintain those trails and develop more trails as that seems feasible. Actually, Roger Haydock's going to talk about trail building right after finish. But yes, and we'll continue to encourage people, support people walking up there. And I was just talking to Henriette. The best place for parking right now is just above the cemetery. Anything more you want to say about that, Henriette? Yeah, out of respect to Henriette and the family, it's a very, very good to just park down below, to not go up and park in the circle. And other questions? Yes.
We own some property that's next door to Henriette's, and when you speak of this parking area, would that be to the right of Cemetery Hill, to the left?
Going up the hill. It's a challenge for me because I don't know my right from my left. But I think when you go up the hill, just past the cemetery, and I think it's at the end, we would encourage people, from now, we're going to make a place and we'll work with you on it to figure out a place, a good parking place, so that when people come up and park. But for right now, but if you have concerns about that and where you'd like that to be, you should be in touch with us. Is that clear? Yeah.
So there'd have to be a lot of trees taken down?
No.
If we could move Dick's railroad station and put the parking down below.
Great. I'm sure that'll go over big. Okay. Yeah, we'll move the railroad station. Yeah. Other questions? Yes.
You guys do any type of harvesting of forest products? I mean, you log your lands or let folks get firewood or get maple syrup off it or anything like that, or is everything just pretty much kept as is?
It's pretty much conserved land. If there were issues, then they should be brought to us and we would talk about them. There was a big sugaring operation up on Deer Run, and actually the pipes and things are still there that Nick Mercedes had.
Right.
But nobody's had an interest in that. We would consider if somebody asked us and if it seemed reasonable and appropriate. But basically, we won't be logging these lands. There's other lands for logging. Other questions? Okay, I'm going to turn it over now to Roger Haydock.
Okay, well, I'm on the board of the Green Mountain Conservancy, and my area of focus is trails. And so I'm going to take us on a tour of the trails that we've done on the Green Mountain Conservancy Deer Run Preserve, so you can get a sense of what's involved. So, before I start talking about our preserve, which is across the river in Dummerston, I want to crank back the clock to the late 1980s when I volunteered along with another volunteer to put the trail that goes up the backside of Black Mountain from the West River up to the southwest peak. And so I'd never worked on a trail before. I didn't know what to do. I got there, the other volunteer was there, I was naive. He thought to bring a set of surveyor ribbons to mark the trees. Good idea, because I was thinking we were just going to bend them like Hansel and Gretel or something, you know. And so this was the month of July. What color surveyor ribbon do you think he brought? Green. Oh, well, there was our first mistake right there. We hadn't even started to build the trail, and we already made a mistake, but we already learned from our mistake, right? Don't go with green, go with a different color. So, that was, we got started, first mistake. Second mistake, well, everyone remembers from high school geometry class, the shortest distance between any 2 points is a straight line, right? Now, those of you who know this mountain know it's a pretty steep mountain, so right up straight we went in several places, not realizing that, oh, it's going to start to erode as hikers go on it, which after several years became obvious, and that it's also steeper and harder for people. So we learned another lesson. It took a while. Over the next decades, I built many, many, many trails for the Pinnacle Association, Putney Mountain Association, and beginning maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I started to build trails for the Green Mountain Conservancy, the Deer Run Nature Preserve. And here it is. First it was phase 1, and then eventually, so phase 1 is here, and then eventually phase 2. Altogether, it's almost 1,000 acres. And next, what's the next slide? There we go. Okay. So, my task was to put a trail from the parking area down on Camp Arden Road up to the summit. And one of the things I'd learned was, in order to create the best possible trail, what you want to do is you want to do as much research across the land that you're intending to put the trail on as possible, looking for pretty places, looking for all the options. So what I would do is go up into the woods, look for a good route this way, mark it with orange ribbons, an alternate route, this one with white ribbons, and then compare. Oh, the white is better. Okay, we'll take that. Then you get to the next opportunity to have a red trail this way and a blue trail that way. Oh, the blue is better. By creating all these choices and then always choosing the better option, you end up with a better than average trail. You can't miss. So, no, back. So here we are. If you come right out of the kiosk where our parking area is, you'll see there's a woods road that leads into the preserve, and we could have put our hiking trail there. It would have been perfectly adequate. It goes straight, it drains well, it's not ugly. That's one option. Or you could build a second option parallel to the first one. They both go from point A to point B, but this one I deliberately put curves in it. I made it have a lot more visual interest. So both trails are adequate to get from point A to point B, but this second one is clearly the better trail, and so that's what I did there, is go with the better trail, and then just pursue that same technique all the way up the hills. And so to lay out the final trail, I laid out ultimately 5 times as much distance of trails altogether compared to what was finally used. So it took a lot of time. So if you come into our preserve, very quickly you encounter a stream. And when we first put the trail in, people had to climb down to the stream level, tiptoe across the rocks, and go up the other side. For those of you who are young and fit, this was no issue at all. But for a significant fraction of our hikers who had hip issues, knee issues, ankle issues, challenges to their balance, this was really hard. So we got this bridge built by Adam Gilbert in Putney, who did an excellent job, and it allows people to cross that stream nice and easily, and it's very handsome looking. And now we get to the mountain itself. That's a 35% gradient if you went straight up it. Well, guess what? We're not going to go straight up it. You have to zig and then zag. There you go, zigging and zagging to get yourself up the hill, which obviously cuts down on the steepness. But in order to do that, you have to take the hill next and do what we call side hilling, which is what this is. Imagine this is the slope of the hill. And if you have people needing to walk across that, they're going to slip and slide. It's going to be a mess. So you have to take a mattock, a tool like this, and chomp away to create a treadway that slightly slopes away and is comfortable for people's feet. So suddenly you've taken a really difficult piece of terrain and made it comfortable at huge labor effort, I have to say. But it enables us to take advantage of all the beautiful spots that this method allows you to have the trail visit, which otherwise it wouldn't work. And so on we go up the hill, and humans, of course, are not the only creatures who inhabit our woods. Right here you can see bear claws, right? Munching on a beech nuts. Obviously we have the full range of animals there. The one animal I have not seen yet and I don't want to see is a catamount. But a couple of weeks ago I saw a 300-pound bear up there. So as we go up the trail, you hit a power line. Our main preserve at Deer Run is crisscrossed with 2 power lines, and this one is looking south, and here's a beaver pond that we have that's on our property. Then you continue, you get to the junction with a ravine trail, which we'll come back to later, and then we get up to a higher version of the same power line. This time we're looking south. This is Black Mountain down here. There's the covered bridge in West Dummerston. And then we cross that power line again into woods, and then to one of my really favorite places, the Hemlock Cathedral, which here is on a gray November day, but if you go in summertime, the vertical trunks of the hemlocks just rise straight up, and the shafts of sunlight coming down really are just inspiring. Trees are something we like to focus on. If there's old growth, which we have some of, I love to try to put a trail towards that. But a problem with old trees that have a lot of character is they tend to fall down. And so they don't always last as destinations. If we continue up the trail, now we get to the summit, which is not cleared, and right next to the summit is a mystery pile of rocks. Now the question is, was this the Native Americans? Was it the early settlers? Could it have been hippies from the 1960s or UFOs? We don't know. This is a mystery and it's unsolved. Now that we've gone to the summit, we go back down. Now we're going to go over to the shoulder trail, which is going to take us down to another power line clearing. And here you can look all the way north up the ridge of Putney Mountain, the pinnacle, even further north up this long ridge, which is 12 miles long, and the Deer Run property is at the southern end of it. Next, and here we're looking up the Grassy Brook Valley, and this is where Julie Andrews and the Trapp family could be singing "The Hills Are Alive" with the sounds of music. So that's looking north up the West River, I think it is. Yep. And now we look down onto Winchester Stables, the Dutton Farm, farming fields, and then unknown peak in the distance. And then we cross the power line, and now we're in a hop hornbeam savanna, which is a savanna is an area where you have full-grown trees growing, but what you don't have is a lot of underbrush. So it's sort of park-like, and that happens on ridge crests a lot. So we have that, and now we're heading down past some beautiful boulders, and I think we have even more boulders there, to get all the way down to the meadow. Now this meadow is 50 acres, or there's several of them in a chain, on the east side of the West River, across from Winchester Stables. So this is what we have the ownership of. It just goes on and on. It's about a mile's worth of walking where you're in these meadows. And so we go down south all the way to, keep going, to the ravine trail. Now, when you circle back up from the meadow onto the ravine trail, the ravine's 50 feet deep, okay? Now I know that the Grand Canyon is like at least 5,000 feet deep. If you're on the north side, it's 7,000 feet. So this is maybe 1% of what the Grand Canyon's depth is. But think of how far you have to drive to go all the way to the Grand Canyon. So if you want more depth per mile driving, this is the place to go. Don't waste your money going to Arizona. On we go, we reconnect to our Deer Run Trail, and we're back at the kiosk. So that gives you some sense of some of the trail building that I've done with many helpers on our Deer Run Preserve. And we don't yet know exactly what we're going to be doing on this preserve, but we didn't know what we were going to do at Deer Run when we started there either. So I look forward to it. We've definitely there's going to be access, but how much new trail building we do and when, we haven't yet decided. So that's it on the trails. Any questions? Yes?
I totally don't have a sense of exactly where you are. I mean, I understand where the, what is it, Mendez, what is it? What's the name of that?
Mental.
I don't know.
Oh, so I've been talking about, okay, this is the property in Newfane.
Yeah, how far does the Deer Run land go into behind Newfane?
Okay, so here's the village of Newfane right here.
Okay.
This is the Mantell property that we're talking about for the Newfane Village Preserve. This is the Deer Run Preserve. Okay, so here's the West River. The Deer Run Preserve is this, and then these are lands that are in conservation easement that are not owned by the preserve, but that are not developable.
And so how far north then is it contiguous then with what the other piece that we're talking about? Or
Well, they are contiguous right here.
That's it.
That's it. And this is a ford, which we're not going to put a trail across there.
Okay.
Okay. And I don't think we put a trail up here because I've walked it. It's so steep. It's
And
just
where's the river road then?
okay. The river road is, I think, this one here.
Okay.
So the Winchester Stables is right there.
Right.
Okay, and then here.
So that crossing then goes to the road or not?
It goes to the road and beyond. It crosses the road right here.
Oh, okay.
And so it's designed for back when people needed access to the fields. Right now, there's another ford up here that is used.
So is this consideration about parking down there too then for you guys?
Well, let's see.
off the River Road?
There's a little bit of space there. A couple of cars could go there. But the west side of the River Road is very, very steep. So it would take a lot of work to just get onto those 10 acres. And then to get up onto the ridge line on the Mantell property would be a lot more work.
Yeah,
So
I mean, basically.
that may be
it could-
something that happens in the future, but we're open to that. And we will set up a local stewardship committee that works with the board of directors of the Green Mountain Conservancy. And those trails will develop. On the back table here, there's some handouts, and one of them has photos on the front, and then on the back, it has a copy of the map that Roger's got.
That's great, thank you.
The map we can't see.
Yes.
Yes.
On the bottom of that, on the bottom of that ledge, like where you hook up from the river and then across River Road, and then the bottom of the ledge, there is flat there where you
I know.
can walk all the way to Brookline.
Yeah, yes,
Okay,
yep,
because that could be a path someday.
right.
It's not, to get up to the rest of our land, yes, it's steep, but to go along that edge and walk along there is really pretty too.
Right. We'll see.
Right.
Other questions?
Anything else? What else do you need to know about?
Anything you could say about the trails that are on the Newfane land now?
Well,
If I were to walk up here, what would I see?
Henriette could give you the best.
Tell us about.
I've never been up there. I've lived in town 25 years, but I've never been up there. I guess it's your land now. What are the trails that are accessible now? Where do they go?
Just built trails around the edges. I mean, they're not fancy, they're just where we mow every year, so you can walk around. You can make a big circle around our land without getting near our house. And it's all mowed, and it's pretty easy to find your way around. If you go past the cemetery and take a right, there's, right along that stone wall, you can walk in. And then you follow a path all the way around by the other pond and back out on the other side. It's pretty mowed, and you can tell it's a path, I think. I don't know.
Other questions?
Thanks, Roger.
Yep.
Good. Roger was telling me in the car about there along where you come across the river, and then we have that sort of access place, and then it goes up really steeply, and then there's the 10 acres that the Mercedes gave us that is contiguous to this. And Roger was saying that that's a cane terrace left behind by the glaciers when they pulled back up the river. The glaciers came down and then pulled back and left these big deposits of sand. And then up above, if you walk up there, it's a beautiful flat place, and it's got great huge maple trees. And at some point, somebody was maple sugaring up there. And then you go up a bit further, and there's really big rocks, which was a different phase of the glaciers dropping their load as they recede. So it's pretty interesting to look at. Very, very beautiful in that spot. Very hard to know what to do with it. You've been thinking about it, and a good place for school kids to go up and do some exploring in that space, but now with access to the bigger space, we have to consider even further, and we're looking for input from all of you. Because this is really, being a not-for-profit, we are the community, and so we're working with you on this, so let us know what you want. Any other questions, concerns? Yes.
What's the general timeline you all are hoping for to have this happen?
And could you,
Or we have a,
could you come up here because of the...
we have a purchase and sale agreement, and we're hoping to close by the end of March next year. As you saw, we've raised about 79% of what we need. We have gotten some foundation money, and we're applying to other foundations that have supported us in the past. We sent out an initial fundraising letter to people in Brookline and Dummerston and Newfane, and we will do that again, and over the fall and perhaps into the winter, we'll have other meetings like this so that people can find out what's going on and have the opportunity to donate to preserve it.
Might include Townsend too.
Say that again.
If we have anybody who's on our mailing list, then there are some people from Townsend.
One of the, as part of the beginning of the process, because we're a not-for-profit, we can't pay more for the land that it's worth. And so we have to have an appraiser come, and an appraiser came and walked on that property, and then they say, this is how much you can pay for it. And we're really grateful to the Mantels for being willing to take that price, because if you got a big developer, they could, you know, get all kinds of money. So we're very, very grateful for that. Yes.
I want to say it just sounds like an exciting project for everybody, even the people that live here and other people. And I really want to extend a thank you out to the Mantels for even considering this conservation project. That it's really a benefit to all and many generations to come.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Certainly is, yeah. Good. Right, other questions or comments? Okay, everybody knows what they want to know about it, but you can always be in touch with us. We try to keep our website up to date too, so there's information, you'll be able to see the thermometer that was in the slides. As we work our way up, we'll be having another appeal in fall, and we'll be working with some of the foundations that we work with through the fall to raise the rest of the money. Some of you have already been very generous with us, and others, if you can be, that would be fantastic. But we want this to be really for the community. We want kids up there. We want everybody of all ages. We want to make sure it's accessible for people who have limited abilities to get around. So, okay, anything else at all?
And there's refreshments back here.
Yeah, there's snacks.
And if you're not already on our mailing list, there's a sign-up sheet here.
Thank you so much.
Okay.